This CoreCon training video is all about adding equipment time cards in the equipment module. There are three primary ways to do that. You can add equipment time cards individually and manually. You can add equipment time cards through Crew entry, and you can import equipment time cards from a Microsoft Excel import template. A few reminders before we begin. Equipment time cards can be entered for both rental equipment and owned equipment. There are three rates tied to equipment time cards. Those are runtime, idle time, and downtime. Equipment time cards show up under the project analytics, under committed cost and cost to date columns. Also, in previous videos, we covered how to set up the equipment items and that you can limit job cost codes that show on equipment time cards through a setting in Global Settings. Once that option is turned on, CoreCon will only show the job cost codes on equipment time cards that have hour budgets in the prime contract for equipment. Let's go over how to enter these. I'm in Projects, and I've already selected a project. I'm going to go down to Time and Expenses, and then to Equipment Time Cards. We'll go to Actions. We'll add a single time card. First, we'll select the piece of equipment. In this case, we'll use the concrete power trowel, which is an owned piece of equipment. We've selected a project and a prime contract. The prime contract must be approved status and have a status date. If the entire equipment time card entry relates to the original prime contract budget, you'll want to leave the change order and the work order fields blank. The billable status only applies if the prime contract is cost plus. Then we'll select a job cost code. We'll add the runtime, and if necessary, the idle time or downtime. Let's assume that the same piece of equipment on the same project and prime contract will be partially costed to a change order. Then we'll select that. CoreCon then knows that it's not part of the original contract budget. And we'll say 1 hour was used there. I could make additional entries using this method to different projects and prime contracts and different change orders or work orders. I'm not limited to just one project using this method. But I also can add these for multiple days. So I'm going to move the first date of this entry back to the previous Monday, and I'm going to copy it ahead for 4 days. This saves a lot of entry time, and having this added every day makes it sometimes easier just to go back and change the exceptions from day to day. Then I'll click Add and Close. You'll see the entries were made. If I go up to my column settings, I can also add a change order or work order column. Now you can see which ones were part of the original contract budget and which ones are applied to a change order budget. You also notice that it entered one for each day of the week. I entered for 1 day and copied it for the other 4. So there's entry for 5 different days. Let's go back to Time and Expenses. I could go on to Actions and add multiple equipment time cards or import time cards from Excel. But I just wanted to show you that you can also do this another way. So let's move from Projects down to the Equipment module. And the same features are here. We'll go to Equipment Time Cards, go to Actions. Let's add multiple equipment time cards. We're going to use a previous week. Same project. Again, I could use change orders or work orders, but we'll leave this applied to the original prime contract budget. And we'll enter a billable status. This time we'll use concrete forming. We can add comments and then select from multiple pieces of equipment in the equipment cost database. And we'll put in a runtime and idle time. I also have the ability to copy to multiple days. Since that's a Monday, we'll go ahead and copy that forward for 4 days. Note that I could enter some of this to a different cost code. So let's go ahead and do that as well. Let's take out some of the time from the dozer under concrete forming, and we'll add it to demolition. Again, copying forward for 4 days. I just click add and close. Back to equipment. Next, let's jump down to HR and enter equipment time cards a different way. I'm going to use the labor time card action method called add crew time cards. This is a method that you can use to add labor time cards and equipment time cards at the same time, and for a crew that's already established. And then I'll click next. I'll select the cost code, workers' comp code. Not that that applies to the equipment. And I'm going to do 2 of those. We're going to set up Gordon's time as a superintendent or project manager. And everyone else is working on carpentry. And these could be different hours for different individuals. But the part we wanted to get to is down here under crew equipment. We're going to say we'll use 8 hours for each day for that piece of rental equipment. I also have the option to copy forward for multiple days. And then we'll click add and close. Then we'll click add and close. Back to equipment. Third way of adding new equipment time cards is by importing from Excel. That's here under Actions, Import Equipment Time Cards from Excel. To find a template that Corcom provides, go to the knowledge base, to Getting Started, to Corcom Import Options from Excel, and import equipment time cards. Their information and reminders, even the step-by-step instructions, are included here at the top. There is a sample import template already provided with sample data and the list of fields that you can import, including their format. These fields show as the first line on an import template. I've already started one. So let's click back to Corcom V8 in the equipment module. And I'm just going to drag that right here. Several things to point out. When you're importing from an Excel spreadsheet, it does need to be in Microsoft Excel 97 to 2003 file format. The import data must be on the first tab in the workbook, and that tab must be called Sheet 1, and there's no space between the word Sheet and 1. Also, the equipment code must already exist. That means the equipment must be set up in the cost database. The project number must already exist. The prime contract must exist and must be marked approved and have a status date. You can import to multiple projects. So you can see here I'm doing 2 different projects on different dates. These may be applied to either the original prime contract budget or to change orders. The cost codes must already exist in that project, and the billable status only applies if the prime contract is in cost plus format. Once you have it ready, just click File, Save, and Close. Then we'll go to Equipment Time Cards, to Actions, and we're going to import from Excel. We're going to choose that file and click Open. You can see all time card records were imported. If for some reason a record does not import, you will get an exception report that'll fall here underneath with the records that failed showing up here. If that happens, there'll be an option at the top right to export that to Excel. That saves you from having to go through and figure out which ones imported and which ones did not. Also, the exception spreadsheet is already in an import format. We'll go back to equipment time cards. A few other things about equipment time cards is there's no approval process, like a labor time card. You can see a equipment time card summary by piece of equipment. With a variety of views. You also have the option to export that to Excel. If we go back, we can also see that there are log style reports. There's quite a few formats for that as well. In this case, they're all cross-project log style reports. If you'd like to know more about the subject covered in this training video, we encourage you to go to the knowledge base, to the equipment module, to equipment setup and time cards, and the articles that we covered in this training video will be found under equipment setup and time cards.